Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we're going to be talking about when should you buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards, when's a good time to buy it, and when's a good time to sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and things of that nature, I would definitely say. Now this all comes from personal experience, and we're piggybacking off another video I did a while ago where I did talk about should you buy cases and boxes of Yu-Gi-Oh packs from the main set specifically. But today we're going to be going on to buying and selling and things of that nature. Next week, or hopefully very shortly after, I'm going to be uploading a video talking about trading and some good trading tips I've learned over the years from watching other players and whatnot. But today we're going to be focusing on strictly talking about buying and selling cards and when's a good time to buy and sell. So I did talk about this video a long time ago actually on the channel, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. But however, a lot of things have changed since those days. Nowadays, we have new ratio sets. Compared to a year or so ago, we didn't have those. So, back in the olden days of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sounds like I make it sound like it was 50 years ago, but it's not. It's only been like half a year. Back before we had different ratios where we had 2 secrets per box, more ultis and supers in every pack. Before that, hollow cards were worth a lot more. Even bad supers were worth a lot more before the ratio changed. Now there's only one good super really, and that's Twin Twister. Yes, there's some other good supers, but they're not expensive. You know, if you pull a Twin Twister, you've made your money back plus some probably out of the pack you purchased it from. Nowadays, that's not the case. Back then, you may get like $1, a couple bucks for the bad super, but nowadays, not so much unless there's a good super in that set. Ratios have changed, meaning there's more secrets and everything. The harder to get cards that used to be very expensive to get are less expensive. And you can even tell this by comparing the last 2 sets before Breaker of Shadows with the new ratio changes, and the 3 sets after Breaker of Shadows, including, I forget what the thing is called, Shining Victories and Dark Illusions. Look at those sets. There's only been like usually 1 really expensive card or 2 or 3 expensive cards out of the entire set, compared to older sets from the prior to that, where you have like Redstone of Legend, all the Red Eye stuff, this and that. You know, before it got reprinted in Gold Series, it was pretty expensive. You know, nowadays you got what? Cyber Dragon Infinity is the most expensive thing, or Solemn Strike, Breaker of Shadows, Shining Victories, the only 2 expensive cards really, are pretty much, they're worth, $20 plus. Not even Spirit Dragon, because that's probably going to go down soon because of price. So pretty much, there's just only a couple cards out of that set that are just like $20 plus, something around that range. And then you have Dark Illusions, which your main 2 cards are expensive. Well, excuse me, I forgot about Clearwing Synchro Dragon. That's in Shining Victories. That card's expensive now. It's about 40 bucks. So literally, there's only like 1 card per set. And now you have Pod Desires and some of the Dark Magician support stuff that's somewhat expensive. But besides those 3 to 2 cards, there's nothing really above $20. It's all cheap. Really hard to make your money back on that. So what I've always found nowadays when I'm buying packs is I usually wait a couple of days after the set gets released. About 2 to 3 days after the set gets released is the best time to buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards, because the market is still fluctuating, so cards are fairly cheap still. Players may not know what's the best cards out of the set necessarily. Yes, there will be the staple cards that people are like, oh, it's a Pod Desires type of card. I need that. It's expensive. But the other cards, like the Dark Magician stuff, it wasn't expensive at first. You could have gotten it cheap before it got expensive. Same thing with Pod Desires. Upon the first 2 days of it being released, legally, it was a $40 card. Now it's like a $50-something card, give or take. Saying that, it's sometimes good to just wait a day or 2 to pick it up. But I will always emphasize this, and it is so true, even to this day. Never, ever, ever buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards after a YCS. So usually what happens is a set drops on a Friday or a Thursday, and there's a big YCS that weekend or a week away from that set dropping. So it may drop up that Friday and Thursday, and then the next week, that next Saturday, is a YCS going on somewhere in the world. Usually when YCS happen, if that card came out of that recent set and it's very popular, the price shoots up even more. It has always been the case. So I've always told people, if you know you want a card, just buy it now, because probably after that YCS, if somebody tops with it, the price is going to go like this. it's going to go up. It has always happened. Dante, Stellar Knights, when Duelist Alliance was out, things of this nature. There's so many examples out there. Solemn Strike. I mean, there's been a lot where YCS has happened and the card price goes up because of the YCS. Yes, it may stabilize back down, but if it was a good card and it would be a meta-defining card, it stays up there. So that's something I've always told people. Never, ever wait. If you know there's a YCS coming up in the next week, you literally have a week to buy that card before it probably will go up even more than it already is. Because after that YCS, I can tell you the price is going to go up. It's not going to go down. That always happens. Sometimes it happens with, it used to happen with ARGs as well, like Stellar Knights and whatnot, but not so much anymore. So that's what I've always said about buying sets out of main sets. Sets that are not main, core sets like Breaker of Shadows, Dark Illusions and things of that nature. Sets like, I guess you could say, Wing Raiders and Synchron Extreme and these Battle City packs and things of that nature. Depending, those ratios are not the same as the core sets. So like, oh gosh, Battle City sets and things of that nature, and Millennium packs. You get a couple of holos, but you don't get like secrets and things of that nature. But in like Wing Raiders, you get some secrets and everything. It's like an old school set. So I've found with those sets, if you know there's a good card, and you know there's going to be a good card coming out of that set, wait maybe a day till the price stabilizes somewhat, and then buy the card. Because literally, it will probably be up by a week. Literally, if a set drops, you try to buy the cards within a week's time span. And if there's a big event coming up, you need to buy it before that big event. Really, really, it's so true, and I can't emphasize that enough. Now onto the flip side, where we're going to be talking about when is the best time to sell cards. Now, there's multiple different times that people sell cards. I would usually say what happens, and we just saw this with this recent ban list, with things like Breaker, you know, oh my gosh, I forget the Breaker of Swords, whatever he's called, that's a level 3 XYZ monster, as well as things like Card Demise, Blue Eyes stuff to some degree, things of this nature. After the ban list drop, you know, before the ban list, people always try to sell a lot of their cards, which is good. But the problem is with this makes an influx in the market where there's a because people are not knowing what's going to happen on the ban list, and especially nowadays when we don't know when the ban list is going to happen. So this may drag out for 2 months sometimes. You know, look, after Nationals, everybody started selling their stuff, and that was back in July. So for literally a month and a half, literally, before the ban list dropped recently, you know, back in August, card prices were like this, down, because everybody was selling their stuff, not knowing what's going to be the next meta, and picking up the new meta stuff that they think is going to be meta. But then what happened on the ban list? Well, the decks that got hit were still somewhat relevant, so everybody went back and brought all those cards back that they had just sold. A very vicious cycle, which is not good. So what I've always told people is, if there's a card that has a very high ceiling of getting hit, and it's very expensive, sell that card. If it's a card that the community seems very wishy-washy on, some people say one thing, some people say the other, and you don't think it's going to get hit or limited, it may be best to hold on to that card, especially if it's expensive. I'm going to say that very truly. If it's very, you know, it's always good to sell towards the end of formats, or if you know you're not going to Nationals, sell before Nationals, because literally I've always, and this has happened every single year, I've kept track of it since 2012, before National season, so after regional season has somewhat started to end, and before Nationals, at wherever you live in the world, prices and cards tend to go up a little bit, because everybody's buying their stuff so they can compete at Nationals. After Nationals, prices go down. You can look at most cards that are expensive at those points in time, and that always happens. So, saying that is very true. Another thing that really influxes the market and when you should buy and sell is the ban list. However, that is it's very iffy nowadays, because at this moment in time I'm making this video, we don't have dates on the ban list anymore. So like I said earlier, these things can drag out for 2 months because people are speculating, and speculation can lead to there being a very, the market is diluted with a certain card, and then once the ban list comes out and that card didn't get hit, it becomes very Spartan-like and very sparse, so people want to buy that card, and the price goes up because of demand and supply and demand and type of thing, those things of that nature. But when's the best time to sell? I would say is whenever a price is at its peak, whenever you think a card's at its peak, sell it. This comes with your own tuition. If you think the card's at its peak, sell it or trade it away. At the same point in time, it's best, like I said in the last video I did, if a set is a core set and it just dropped, it may be best to put those cards up online, trade them or sell them. If you got a good card at sneak peek, sell that card, trade that card, get your most value, because after the core set drop, sneak peek prices go like this. Just about all the time. Not always. There are exceptions to the rule, like anything in life, but for the most time, if you sell a card during a sneak peek or after a sneak peek, prices go down as the set gets closer to upon release, and once it's released, it probably goes down a little bit more, then it may go back up or stabilize, it depends. But those are the best times to sell, I think. Before the set gets released, right after a set gets released, that's when you'll make your most money out of hollow cards. Personal experience here, and that is what I found. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes cards keep going up in prices because they're the best card out of the set, like Card Demise and Millennium Pack. But those are just my opinions, guys, on when it's the best time to buy and sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Tell me your thoughts on it. Definitely the one thing take away from this, guys, is never ever buy cards after a YCS for a week or so. Always buy before YCS if a set just dropped, because card prices usually go up, especially if it's a core set or a set that has an expensive card like Cyframe Lord Omega. People may not know it was a good card at first, but then after a YCS, oh, somebody top with it, price go up. So those are just my thoughts, guys. Tell me if there's anything I missed, anything you think you could add to this conversation. And until next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and good luck buying and selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Until next time, guys, take care, everybody.